Okay, with this video I'd like to help you understand what is the moonlight, and that in fact the moon, the sun, the stars are in fact lights. The moon itself is at a height of 32.234 miles high. That's just over 170,000 feet. Now let me explain to you, at that altitude, that height above the flat plane of Earth, what you call Earth, the dirt, you run into a different atmosphere or concentration of gases. You run into what are called lighter than air gases, and one in particular, neon. Neon allows, as you know, things to glow. All right. So this is just pictures of the moon light coming into view, and as you can tell, it's quite bright. And what I'm going to do is take with the next few photos and just blend them in while I tell you some things, is just take a long exposure shot, which is just allowing as much light into the camera as it can take, and then that's going to highlight the sky for you and show you that in fact the illusion, the blue illusion, can also then be created at night, depending on how long you want to leave your shutter open. Okay. So then, with that in mind, you have this idea of the moonlight, and you can see this. If you notice these images, you're going to see a splashing on the side of colors, red and blue, making a purplish. All right, it's going to be off to the side, and what that is that's going to be the source of this projection. Now, each one of these, the sun included, has a source of projection. This one in particular is I've taken a photograph of it. I'm going to show you that as soon as I explain a little bit more of the mechanics of this to you. So then you have a plane, and planes are nothing more than atmosphere changes precisely, allowing and disallowing combustion, let's say at 172,000 feet, where then the O2 is at 0. So then combustion is just out the window. So then you look at this idea, and you have to understand, why is then this thing being projected sometimes to where it looks like you can see clouds behind it? And that is because you're seeing clouds behind it that are farther down the plane. For example, if you see this rising in the state of Arizona, which is just on a map, a close distance to the state of California, where I am in particular, someone will see this rise at this level in Arizona and not see it yet in California. It will not be visible in the sky. That then proves to you that this is a lot closer to the ground than you've been told. And it's also a projected light. As you can see here, look to the right side, you see that almost trumpet piece or flute opening. That is then from the projector. All right? And then that is at a higher plane projecting that, what you see as the so-called moon. All right. Now what I want to do is just go ahead and blend in a few shots and show you this at night, and show you that you can then highlight clouds, brighten it up, allow more light in, and see more of the nighttime canopy, what I call it, the action behind the action. If you were to zoom into these photos, what's projecting that then to you is this. This is called Satellite Dave J, being that nobody else wanted to own it. Nobody else even wants to tell me that they see it. All right, and there is one person who has a video up that has helped out and has shown people that this is in fact real. All right, you can see it, and as long as you know what you're looking at, and I'm trying to show you here what you're looking at, you will then see this image, which is what you see as the moon, and you will see the projector off to, if it's going to be, if you're in the United States, let's say, it'll be to your right and below. If you're down, if you're farther below what's called the equator, and I'll get to that in a minute, you will see it on your other side, your left. Okay. So then, if you then now know that, what I'm going to do is then tell you exactly what's going on here. This is a projection into space, and space being atmosphere above your head. All right. And now, why do you see it in a different orientation if you were in, let's say, Australia or something that's said to be below the equator? Well, that is because the projection is at the level of the equator. All right. Does that make sense? Just at the higher plane, just at 32.234 miles higher. All right. And then it rotates on its course. All right. So then at that equator, you're going to see what's called, with a projection image, you're going to see a rotation change, because it's going to be, think of the figure 8. All right. And then noticing that on these, every time you look at the so-called moon, you can only look at the one side with the so-called mountains. On the left side here in particular, looking from the so-called north. That you can zoom in on. The so-called the right side, you can never get a clear picture of, because it's just a static image. There's nothing there to focus on. Then when you go through what's called the equator, you'll have just a morphing, and then the next thing you know, the moon or the image or what's called the face then winds up on the other side. But that's only because you're farther down, or farther what's called south on the plane from what would be, and I use these in quotes, the terms, just so you understand, north. All right, because as soon as you leave what is called north, every other direction would be going then south, if you're looking at a long distance type calculation. So then, looking at this, you noticed that this is now, it's in your mind, you can get a handle on it. So you guys down in Australia, you can stop acting like you haven't been told. You're looking at an image in the sky. You're not looking at a rock in space. You need to get your head around that. You need to understand that you're looking around the backside of a projection. All you're doing is seeing the backside of a picture. Imagine holding up a picture drawn on the paper to a light, and you're looking at it from the backside. That's all this is. It's not a big mystery. All right. So then these images, the lights per se, this one is being the negative pole, giving out the night light, or the think the dark light, or the negative light, the cooling light, then is a polar opposite of the sun, which is giving the positive, the warmth, the dry, that idea. All right, so then that's how you get that symbology, and then that actual reality as well. All right, so you know that this is a polar system, so that you're dealing with polar opposites. All right, so then if I build the so-called 69 system, or what's called the 68, right? Because you're fallen into the 9 is the system, the 9 is the note fallen into. All right, so then if I add, taking a look at what's called like the yellow brick road idea, or the projection from the plumb or center line, that projection is what would then be your daylight at any given point across the flat earth. And then the opposite side would then be either twilight and or sunrise and or midnight. All right, and then of course going around the center, you'll notice then that below that it would have to be that the depth of what's called the earth would also then have to be a mirror of the ceiling. So then you're looking at something in the range of somewhere more than 32 miles, and somewhere less than 37, I'm guessing, maybe right at 37, being that the star plane is above the moon and sun plane. So then you have to take that into account. So if the moon and the sun plane are at 32 miles plus, which they are, then the star plane is a plane above that. My current estimation is by a few miles higher, possibly up to making it 37. And then you have the idea of what's called gravity, and gravity is nothing more than a force, the magnetic force, being that you're in a polar system, of a direct straight line down to the plane of 90 degrees. Straight down. That's what holds everything straight down. That's why you have to strain if you do anything but stand straight up and down. Standing straight up and down, it's very easy to do. If you slightly bend forward, you're going to want to fall forward. Do you understand? Because that minus 90 degrees is pulling you straight down. All right. So then if you take a look at this, this is going to be the idea of the confusion with these convex and concave people. They're both a lie of the same order. Please take a look. If you make concentric circles, you then color them. Simply rotate it, and you're going to find out that it creates what looks like a concave plate, one that dips, but it doesn't. It's just an optical illusion. Then you reduce that down to fit within this, and I've shown you this, that this is the double X system, the 68 system, the fallen idea, the world within the two keys, the fallen notes. All right, now you'll understand how to view the world that you see. All right, the reality that you see, the lights that you see in the sky. Now that you know how far they are, you can get a better understanding. What you need to do is you need to take your telescope or binoculars, get up there, get them in focus, then lay it flat, look at the flat ground, get to where you can see at a good distance, and you will see at 32 miles you are resolved and focused. That's a fact. All right, so this explains that in brief, and I hope that this made some sense. If this didn't make sense, I have several videos. Please leave a question, because this takes care of all the liars, like the Stephen Christ liar and all of those that give you the ball idea. It's two versions of the same thing. Don't fall for either. You live on a flat plane within a system. All right, that's it. All right, so then I know that there's a lot of antichrists out there currently who are trying to tell you one thing and maybe steer you away from the whole truth. This is nothing but a fact. Okay, this is the way it is. You know, go out and verify it yourself. You'll find out it's true. Then after that, ask yourself what comes after that. All right, that's something you'll have to ask yourself. All right. So then, as I say, be free in Christ and free indeed. True living water, baby. All right, talk to you soon. Cheers. Hello again. This is part 2 of the projector series. Okay, this is now a different projector that you see in the... right over here. Right here. This projector right here. Somewhere right around there. It's projecting that. You see that? That's what it's projecting. That's what you see as Jupiter. Right? Jupiter's just a projection as well. Sorry, man. Anyways, let me show you that in relationship. I know people like flipping their wigs, literally. People have literally thrown their wigs out the window right now. There's the moon, and you can actually tell kind of with your eye that Jupiter literally sits closer to you within the atmosphere than the fake moon projection even. And then the fake moon projection is once again more yellow. Okay, so I hope all the anger has passed. The way that you can tell that Jupiter, this being projected as Jupiter from this projector, you can tell by this is very excited, lots of colors. So I'd be wondering if they're claiming there's a storm going on here. I haven't looked into that. Just a thought. In relationship to that, how you can actually just see with your eye, as I zoom in to the Jupiter projection, how you can see it's actually physically closer to you within the atmosphere. So you're actually, if you're an astronomer, man, you're just quite literally focusing on like a picture. Dude, sorry to bust your bubble. Sorry to bust your bubble, man. That's a flippin'... Sorry to bust your bubble, man. It's right there, man. That's a flippin'... Sorry to bust your bubble, man. That's a flippin'... Sorry to bust your bubble, man. That's a flippin'... It's right there, man. I have a Sony Handycam. I shouldn't be able to see the planets, dude. You can actually physically see with your eyes, man. It's sitting lower in what I call the thermosphere than at the actual so-called moon projection, which, because it's much bigger, so therefore this would have to be lower so it'd be seen for the whole effing effect to take effect. Now let's go look at the projector so you can see it. Stop clowning around. And all the other so-called planets have them too. You just have to look. So this will be Dave J2, the Jupiter projector.